in, brandishing its weapon. While the two run however they can, the monster's club hits the ground, missing everyone. It looks back confused, searching for its easy targets. Furious, it roars and goes after the boys. Already inside the entrance, Shanma tries to hide while the monster approaches. That thing shoves its huge hand inside, trying to grab them. Terrified, they try to back away as best they can. The creature's sharp claws retreat, scraping the ground, while they stay there quietly, trying to hide. Panting, Chano says it's time to go down now. Somewhere else, something heavy hits the ground, and those celestial machines continue fighting against our hero. The monsters keep attacking him relentlessly as he moves forward, dodging. Those creatures persist but can't land a hit on our hero. Dae Sung keeps advancing, thinking he just needs a little more. Using the trees, he gains more momentum. Stepping on one last tree, he hits a final burst, spinning through the air. He continues flying through the air, focused, until he reaches a specific point, thinking that's the place. He keeps running in the opposite direction of the creatures, until reaching a point he stops. He begins to compose himself at the place he arrived, and from a distance, he sees those celestial creatures approaching. The heavy monster breaks the ground as it walks, and they form an arc around our hero. One of them says it is at a safe distance from the target and will begin the attack. Mocking them, our hero says they took a bit too long, calling them damn bastards. The celestial creature cracks the entire ground, and altogether they begin to emit a bunch of sounds. With an excited smile, Dae Sung says that's why this forest is called the Forest of Predators. Suddenly something enormous bursts from the ground, breaking everything, and it falls right on top of those celestial creatures. Then our hero says it's a swamp whale, you bastards, and they eat everything they see. That they'll spend a good time in its belly because it digests everything very well. On the terminal, it appears that the absolute ruler has fulfilled all conditions, and that the ruler's physical abilities have been restored. Dae Sung stands there feeling his power return. Then evaluating himself, he says his mana has definitely increased. On the terminal, it shows that the mission was a success, and that he received a bonus reward, a dagger of judgment. Our hero is impressed as the weapon begins to materialize in front of him. It shows that it is a sacred weapon used by the celestial judge to punish enemies, made from the carcass of white golems, in addition to being very powerful and having a remote control. Dae Sung repeats the fact that it has a remote control while doing a test. Then he throws the dagger forward. It circles the area in front of him, then returns to his hand. Satisfied with that, he says it will be very useful. Then lowering it, the weapon begins to disappear the same way it appeared. Our hero decides that now it's time to return. A portal appears in front of him. On the news, two reporters talk about the portal that opened and say it was total chaos, asking the professor what he thinks, and he responds that the problem is the hunters. He says that hunters are like public servants, slow to respond, go on vacation. How can the population have faith in a group like that? And that portal fractures happen at any time without respecting holidays, so the other reporter says the association should be held accountable for it. Meanwhile, a car speeds through the city streets, and someone inside watches the interview on their phone. Very irritated, a man says they're crazy, and that hunters who belong to an association don't earn as much as the clan folks. He continues saying they're not prophets, that there's no way to tell when something will happen, and calls out to his brother beside him. The well-dressed guy tells him to stop whining, that if they can't get through this, there won't be a team, especially since he's their leader. He keeps staring at the phone, annoyed, until a breaking news report appears saying a mysterious hunter showed up and took care of the whole problem at that location. Meanwhile, the car continues on its way, and somewhere else the chicken boy says, scared, that it's terrible how many dead bodies were on the rooftop. Shan Ho says he doesn't know, but that it's terrible, and that now they need to wait for a rescue. Suddenly, a very loud noise startles the two boys. They peek over the counter where they're hiding, and it seems like the whole place is shaking. Shan Ho wonders if the hunters have arrived. The next moment, there's a massive crash, filling the area with dust. They try to protect themselves from it. Scared, he thinks it's the monsters. Then Dae Sung appears saying he's starving and that they shouldn't get in his way as he steps on what's left of that creature. Relieved and happy, the boy calls out his friend's name. Then smiling, our hero asks if he's late. Half in disbelief, he asks what's wrong with him. Then Dae Sung hugs himself, groaning, and Chan-ho asks if he's hurt. Our hero asks if he's really there, and the chicken boy replies yes. Then he says to prepare some meat because he's very hungry, leaving only two boys who just went through a terrible ordeal totally stunned. Terrified, they ask if he wants to eat meat there, and insist if he really wants to eat meat there. The place really seems to be a mess. Looking at that meat, Dae Sung asks if it might be monster blood, but says it's fine, he's okay. The two boys are horrified by the sight of Dae Sung eating, and they seem a bit disgusted by it. Suddenly someone enters the place saying there are survivors over there. Then the soldier asks if everyone is okay in there, and the attendant happily thanks God, saying he's going to survive. The soldier looks a bit surprised at the scene, while the boy thanks him a lot. Looking at our hero eating, the soldier says that in this situation, he stammers, speaking somewhat confused. Chan-ho greets the man, thanking him for the hard work they've done that night, and says he missed the chance to go to the shelter, so he's happy you're there. Trying to cover for him, he says his friend tends to act like that when he's in shock. Grabbing his friend, Chan-ho says he needs to go to the hospital for a checkup first, and our hero asks what's wrong. But the soldier says they can't just leave, that he'll guide them to the exit and to follow him. Then the boy says yes and pulls something from inside his suit, saying that if he has any problems to contact them, and that he thinks his clan will have work too, showing a Seoul clan team leader card. The soldier realizes he belongs to a clan, so it's okay, and says he'll guide them to an exit. Then Chan-ho thanks him for that. Sometime later, the military are all over the place, and those two hunters from the car also arrive there. The leader stammers, asking what the hell is that. Yelling at the young man, he calls him a bastard, saying if he has time to throw up, he should check for survivors first, and the boy says yes, apologizing. He says he's a hunter to follow the soldier, who agrees with the idea. The leader thinks, dear God, what kind of kid is that? Just as brutal and strong as the monsters. Elsewhere, a car drives through the city streets. Chan-ho says they should sleep at his place tonight, but our hero says no, that people must be worried at their home. His friend says he's happy he's concerned about that, but if they see him in this state, they'll be 100% shocked. Dae Sung looks over his blood-covered condition, then says he'll contact his mom and his friend so they can get cleaned up and eat some chicken. Sometime later in a tall building, our hero looks surprised by something. His friend tells him to clean up and come back, that he's going to order some chicken. Sometime later, the feast is served. Surprised, he asks what all that is. Then Chan-ho says it's been 4 months since he had meat, so they should eat well today. Dae Sung asks if he said he made a bunch of money, and he's right to think he's a hunter. Remembering the conversation they had earlier, the guy says he's correct, and that in today's world they're not much better than scammers, and that's what people say. Then he asks why, if he's thinking of becoming a hunter. Our hero just makes a noise with his mouth full, and Chan-ho says that's well thought out, that if he goes to an association and makes that decision, he'll probably become something above rank B. He says that if he does well, he can guarantee he'll reach rank A. Dae Sung questions rank B, rank A, and his friend explains it's a classification, and that if he's rank B, he can join a big association or clan, makes around 3,000, but if he's rank A, things are even better. Curious, he asks if there's anything above rank A, and his friend confirms that yes, there is. There's only rank S, and that there are only 5 of those, just 5 among 2 million awakenings. Chan-ho jokes with him, asking if he's trying to become the 6th rank S, but says he's just messing around. But he says not to expect that much, that if he manages to reach at least rank A, he should already be satisfied, and that in Korea a rank A is something solid. He finishes asking if he's sure he wants to become a hunter, and our hero confirms, so Chan-ho says he should trust him. And raising a toast, he says he'll make him great. Dae Sung thinks, become a hunter. Meanwhile, in another tall building, in a slightly more luxurious room, someone is eating a fancy meal, and says, so a crazy debtor. He adds that the other man should listen while he eats, and that they'll try again. Then he repeats, a crazy debtor, and asks if he's saying that his organization was destroyed by that man. The other man in the room confirms yes. Wiping his mouth, the guy says that if that's true, it's embarrassing, and that if he could barely survive, he asks why didn't he just run away? Why did he bother coming to tell them? The man tries to respond, stammering. Fearfully, He manages to answer that there's nowhere to go. That's Lee Seok, general of the Hanwha clan, and he says it would be foolish for a gangster to go to the police, right? And the man, scared, stammers, yes, yes. He questions why he's been trembling so much since earlier, and if it's because of this gangster looking at the man who's dead on the floor. That guy is dead there, and parts of him are missing. The gangster looks at it, trembling even more. The general remains there with his hand on the man's shoulder while he watches the scene. That gangster begs, pleading please not to kill him. And that leader says it's fine, that they just need the money they were supposed to collect, while the guy only stammers. The general says it doesn't matter how much the office was robbed, that he still has hidden funds. But the man says he doesn't know because he was in the back. Very tense, the man says that's the truth, please believe him. That general just watches closely, and smiling he says yes, that he believes him, and the gangster says yes. Stammering and sweating a lot, he thanks him. Then the general says he's grateful too, and suddenly, using energy, he smashes his head. The man looks coldly at the gangster as he does this. That liquid gushes from the eliminated man. Covered in blood, the general steps away, then turns his attention to the document on his desk, and picking it up, he asks someone to take care of that guy. In the image on the documents, it shows our hero. He adds to take care of him properly. A person who was in the corner of the room says yes. Sometime later at the Korean Hunter Association, the sign shows the initials K-Shay, and our hero is arriving there at that moment. Chan-ho says he should first go to the hall and tell the staff he's there for an awakening test, and then they'll guide him themselves. Dae Sung says, okay, and not to forget to use proper titles, because if he speaks informally to anyone, he'll look like a crazy person, and the boy says okay, while his friend tells him not to cheat. He finishes saying he's going back to work and to message him when the results come out. Looking at his proud friend, he says he's nervous. Meanwhile, our hero walks confidently toward the building. He notices some staff smoking and drinking something outside. He sees others there, thinking they look like people who came to be tested. He passes a man who seems upset, saying this is embarrassing. He thinks that, like Chan-ho said, this will bring money, but it's quite a hassle. Already inside the building, he arrives at laboratory number 3. Several people seem to be waiting inside. Looking at his number, he sees it's number 9. Thinking that hunters really are popular, he's 9th, so it shouldn't take long. Suddenly, his phone rings. A message from his mother asking if he's still with Chan-ho, asking when he'll come home, that she needs to rest because her back hurts. Looking at the phone, he thinks it's better not to tell his mother. So he tells her he's still at his friend's house, that he's going to shower and head home slowly. His worried mother asks if he ate, and tells him to come home and eat, that his sister went out to buy food for their lunch. Happy with that, he thinks he'll return as soon as possible. Suddenly, a door opens and a woman in heels appears. She calls the next one, number 9, please. Inside, an old man says that he's the lunatic, and who's calling him a lunatic, that he's definitely an awakened one. The staff member apologizes, but since the meter read a negative value, and the old man yells, what? Asking how many times he said that the meter is trash, and if that's how the association works nowadays. People in the reception complain, saying their ears hurt and that he should leave. Doesn't he realize there are more people waiting? The guy insists, saying all his hair fell out overnight, and asks if they're saying that's not a side effect of awakening. He's sure he awakened. At the door, people try to hold back their laughter, and Dae Sung wonders why this has to happen right when it's his turn, and that they're waiting for him to come have soup. The miserable man says that if it's like this, he's not leaving the place, that he'll file a direct complaint with the branch manager. Suddenly, someone grabs the man by the head, calling, hey, you. Removing the hand, he asks for dares. Very intimidatingly, Dae Sung asks if he can't see there are people waiting behind him. The man nearly soils himself in fear, and stammering, he tries to explain that the meter is broken, that he's sure he awakened. Dae Sung asks if he's sure the meter is broken, and a man in a suit says let him check, since he's an awakened one. He then approaches the machine, placing his hand over the sphere. A bunch of energy starts to appear. He stays there while the machine begins to work. The sphere now emits a green light. Then he says it's green, that it's a rank C, and as the man can see, the machine is working fine. Tense, the old man stammers, saying, this is. The woman tells him there are others waiting, and for him to leave now. Finally walking out, the man still yells from the door saying he's sure the meter is wrong. The receptionist apologizes for any unfortunate incident that may have occurred and says he can enter now. Already tired of this, Dae Sung says yes. The woman asks her senior if that person will have a high score. Joking with her, he tells her to stop worrying and get back to work. But the woman thinks that with the pressure from earlier, if he's an awakened one, that he'll be at least rank B or higher. In the morning at Keishe, the Hunter Association, in the branch manager's office, there's a deep silence outside the room, but inside something seems to be happening. The manager asks what's going on, and someone responds that he should go to exam room 3 on the 6th floor right now. Caught off guard, the man asks again what happened, and the other person says mysteriously that it would be better if he saw for himself. A few minutes later inside the elevator, the supervisor is going down the floors. He tries to piece things together before reaching the room. Well, if it's a problem in the exam room, could that S-level specimen have shown up? Trying to calm himself, he tries to push that thought out of his head, saying that if it's a big deal, they'll fight to prevent the specimen from being taken by others. His daydreams are interrupted as soon as the elevator stops and announces that the supervisor has reached his destination. On that floor, a group of people is observing something, and one of them says it's the first time they've seen that kind of thing, and another asks what day it was. The manager arrives in the hallway and finds it strange that everyone is just standing there. He starts approaching and asks to be excused as he makes his way through the crowd. When he gets close enough, the man is shocked by what he sees. On top of a stand, a glass object is broken and emitting smoke. Looking more closely at the entire environment, 2 other glass objects are also broken. The man in the suit observes and says, "What the hell?" A visibly nervous employee approaches while adjusting his tie, and the manager asks what happened there. The 2 men direct their gaze toward our hero, and the young employee begins his explanation. "That person over there placed his hand on the crystal ball," says the young man, while Dae Sung remains silent. He says that at first the color of the crystal showed some variation. We get a brief glimpse of the object's reaction moments before. Han asks if that's normal while the ball displays mist and shifting colors. An employee explains that yes, that happens sometimes, but something strange is going on. Suddenly, the crystal presents several cracks. That young man gets worried, not understanding what's happening, just like our boy who has no idea either. The next moment, an explosion occurs and lots of smoke escapes through the closed door, scaring those who are outside the room. The door is quickly opened to let the smoke out. A researcher covers her face while coughing a lot, and Han is standing in front of the crystal, now shattered along with another nearby. Another employee, sitting on the floor, barely knows what to think or say about what just happened, and the hero simply observes the broken crystals. The young man calls out to our boy, asking if he's okay. Han remains silent, his face sweating. The manager asks if the meter is malfunctioning. Uncertain, the employee asks if it would make sense for all 3 crystal balls to turn out like that, and the man agrees it would be too much of a coincidence. Pensive, Han wonders if the company will demand compensation and wants to know what to do now, if he should wait for the results. The young man agrees they should wait for the information. The man expresses concern because, considering what happened, all golden crystal balls would be destroyed. Then he turns to our hero and seems like he's going to ask a question, and the other 2 wait to hear what he'll say. The manager begins to speak, choosing his words carefully. He believes they should conduct a judgment limit test, and Dae Sung doesn't really understand what this judgment limit idea means. Since the crystal balls can't be used for assessment, the branch will judge the young man through the license test. And the man concludes his explanation by saying that this is the system that determines the final classification. Our boy asks if that test is reliable. The young employee says that this classification is based on the clarity of certain conditions and asks him to feel at ease about that part. Han understands there's nothing he can do and confirms that he understands the situation. Making a respectful gesture to the young man, the chief asks him to take care as he leaves. Dae Sung exits the room and walks quietly down the hallway. The manager puts a hand to his head, saying he can't live with his name. "Mr. Manager, the crystal ball meter is responding with energy from another world," says a researcher, and the man agrees, asking why. The woman adjusts her glasses and begins to say that perhaps something isn't exactly in a specific way. The otherworldly energy that Han possesses within him is limiting the function of the crystal, and because of that, it caused them to explode. In the middle of the woman's explanation, the other employee sneezes. He quickly apologizes, but the researcher gets annoyed at being interrupted. The manager asks if what the woman meant was that our hero is an SS class, and she believes that to be the case. The young man agrees with that conclusion, saying that the world feels fantastical these days. Regarding that, the woman replies that the young man is not an SS class god, and strangely, the shards of the crystal ball emit lightning. Back on the city streets, Dae Sung is talking to someone about the experiment results, and the response is limits. The person on the call finds that strange and asks if the meter froze, and Han says no. He adds that the meter is broken. On the phone, the person asks if the boy messed with it, but soon backtracks, believing it wouldn't break like that. Our boy responds negatively and is asked if he places hands on the meter as instructed by the evaluators, but the object is broken. The young man says yes, and then the person wonders how they didn't foresee that 5 minutes earlier, and finally explains that the only way to get a high ranking is by doing well on the exam. Dae Sung stops walking for a moment and responds dryly that he doesn't care about achieving such a result. The person responds that they understand and asks Han to get home safely, ending the call by saying they'll send the test date later. Still standing, the hero reflects on the things he heard. What a long day it's been, and to think it's not even over yet. Suddenly, something catches his attention and he turns to the side. Near the top of a building under construction, a strong light appears. Someone has just taken aim with a sniper and fired at the young man. The assassin looks down at him, thinking he doesn't seem that strong after all, and that it doesn't matter. No matter how strong an awakened one is, it only takes one bullet to pierce through. She places her finger on the trigger, while observing him through the scope. Startled, she realizes something. She thinks she doesn't stand a chance and wonders if she's been discovered. That can't be. No active hunter has ever been able to see her. There's no way someone who looks so pathetic could detect her. Looking at the girl, our hero tells her to look over there. Irritated, he says, right here. Still in disbelief, she thinks, nonsense, what, you noticed me, and I can even hear his voice from the street. She decides that first and foremost she'll retreat, but suddenly hears a voice in her head telling her to shoot, and that frightens her. Nervous about the situation, she fires. The projectile heads toward the boy. As he looks in her direction, suddenly, an explosion happens at the location, and a cloud of dust rises there. Excited, the assassin says she got him, but suddenly sees something that surprises her. Dae Sung is in the same spot, surrounded by a hole around him. She thinks it can't be, that it's nonsense, that this isn't a regular bullet, it's an aura bullet. Down below, our hero keeps staring at the girl. Frightened, she wonders what the hell he is, and that there's no time. She needs to get out of there. Dropping everything, she starts to run away. But suddenly something comes flying toward her, hitting her leg squarely. She screams in pain from the blow, and collapses to the ground, unable to continue. In an instant, our hero is already up there looking down. Terrified, the assassin looks at him. He apologizes, but says her bullet hit him right there, though it didn't manage to kill him. The weapon lodged in the girl begins to disappear, as she draws another hidden weapon. Quickly getting up, she already has the gun in hand. She asks if he said he's okay after being hit by her aura bullet. Tense, she asks where he came from. Dae Sung then replies that he came from hell, and she, confused, asks, what? Then he introduces himself, says his name is Han Dae Sung, and that he came from hell. The assassin screams that that's nonsense, calling him a monster as she fires her weapon. She lands several hits on him, screaming repeatedly for him to die. From the top of the building, she can be heard yelling, "Drop dead." She keeps shooting until she runs out of ammo. Where our hero stood is now covered in smoke from the shots. Very tense, she wonders if he died. But out of nowhere, he appears behind her, asking, "Die from that?" While she thinks she was sure he had been defeated. Suddenly, a bunch of shadows appears at the scene. Terrified, the assassin asks what the hell that is. Then, in a swift movement, our hero grabs her and slams her hard against the wall. He holds her there while she feels his strength, but several shadowy hands appear behind her. That shadow creature full of hands and eyes appears, terrifying her, and saying various things like, "Let's play hate disgust. What is this?" and more disjointed phrases. Desperate, she asks what the hell that thing is. That thing grabs the woman and she starts going into shock. He asks if she's going to faint without saying anything. He notices a few things on the ground, and bending down to look says he doesn't want to kill her. He looks inside the guitar case and finds more things. He finds the document along with photos of him, his sister, and his mother. Then he drops those bullets on the ground and tosses one at the girl's head. She slowly begins to regain consciousness and screams in despair as she realizes that reality once again. Dae Sung tells her to answer the question and that he will kill her if she makes noise or says nonsense. The boy looks at those photos of his family. Then he finally asks who ordered her to do this. The assassin thinks she can't say anything about the Harem clan, and that it's that gangster. She thinks he was declared missing and wouldn't know about it, so she says Kim Sung-yeon, and Dae Sung asks who that is. She says they're the muscle of the private loan organization he destroyed recently, and that he stole the vault from that bastard. The boy asks if it was the 500 million, and she thinks she did it, that as soon as she gets out of there. Then she continues, saying to let her go and she'll tell him where he is. At that moment, Dae Sung throws that bullet at her, with such force that it pierces her shoulder, opening a huge hole in it. She screams in pain, cursing and asking why. With difficulty, she says that she told him that she already told him. Dae Sung says it's not normal for an assassin to give up sensitive information that easily, and if she made a mistake, he'll kill her. Frightened, she thinks that was way too fast, and what should she do now? Finally, our hero says, okay, now for the last time, who ordered you to do this? The assassin thinks that the job failed anyway, and even if she survives there, she remembers that guy blowing up his subordinate's head, and concludes she'll be killed by the psychopath from the Harem clan. So it doesn't matter where she goes, she'll die. If she's going to die anyway. She asks if he thinks she'll say anything that he can ask 1,000 times and the answer will be the same. Curious, our hero wonders if she's using a self-destruction. The assassin screams, telling that bizarre monster to go to hell. But suddenly something happens and a hole is blown in her at the same time destroying her hand. She is frightened and surprised by it, and starts coughing, badly wounded. Dae Sung tells her to stay away from him, and that he's already sick of hell. The woman falls to the ground, badly hurt from the attack, while Dae Sung approaches, saying that in the end he couldn't find out who was behind it all, and now it's time to dispose of the body. He says he didn't want to use this item because it makes him feel bad. Reading from his journal, the keyword is the memory of death. He starts flipping through several pages until he finishes that search. He comments that this should take care of everything. Then he calls upon the Pantheon, and that portal appears in front of him, and that even though he heard most of this area is closed due to the portal fracture, it might be better if he handles this with something. From the outside, just an ordinary building under construction, while inside, our hero left what was left of that assassin covered with something, and under that tarp we can still see her hand. Crossing the portal, Dae Sung returns to the Pantheon. At the terminal, it says the demons of Pandemonium celebrate the second return of the absolute ruler, then asks him what date and location he'd like to recreate. Dae Sung answers that it's page 134, where the Prison of Souls was recorded. The Prison of Souls is the main weapon of the Ghost King, one of the 15 rulers of the states allied with the demon god. At the time, our hero defeated that creature, and this is an artifact that summons from death, being imbued with his own blood. When he first arrived at the Prison of Souls, he thought he could finally fight comfortably, but his summon was weak, and he couldn't use it properly. On the terminal, it shows page 134, year 37 and 98 days, asking if he'd like to recreate this in the Pantheon. It says that unlike in Hell on Earth, he can use this to dispose of bodies, and then he orders to recreate it. Dae Sung confirms this on the terminal. Then it shows that the recording location is the River of Death, and it is being recreated. Everything around him starts to change, and in just a moment, he is in a desolate place. That place is the River of Death. A bunch of souls circulate through the area. He thinks that on the other side of the river is the territory of the Ghost King, and that in the past there was a boat there that could be used to cross, but now there is no boat, not even wooden planks, and besides, you can't just swim across it. Just dipping into the water, your body would be disintegrated by death. On the terminal, it shows that the mission's goal is to defeat the celestial things occupying the river, and the reward will be 50% implementation of the Prison of Souls. Suddenly, someone says they detected an unidentified intruder, and that they're awaiting removal approval. Dae Sung watches, asking what those things are. Looking closely, they appear to be several white insects. On the terminal, it shows they are a mechanical life form, autonomous weapons created by celestial beings. Then the creature says the removal of the intruders has been approved. The celestial monsters charge our hero, firing some kind of projectiles at him. Dae Sung easily dodges the attack, which hits the tree behind him. That substance begins to corrode the area it struck, and our hero wonders if by taking care of them he might receive a boat as a reward. Dae Sung summons his savage dagger and waits as the enormous insect charges toward him. Then he launches forward with force, rushing toward the massive creature, preparing to strike. With his attack, he pierces the monster's carapace, slashing the creature from top to bottom. He cuts one of them clean in half. The monster collapses to the ground while he regains his stance. Suddenly, several purple projectiles fly toward him from all sides, and it seems he won't have any easy way out. Dae Sung thinks this is similar to poison bullets, and that there's no benefit in dodging them. So as all of that approaches him, he uses his energy. That barrage of spheres hits a kind of shield surrounding him, and Dae Sung remains motionless and unharmed. He says dealing with each one of them individually is troublesome. He says it seems like that creature doesn't want to come down, so he tells it to come down, and unleashes a powerful attack, breaking everything around him. That creature tries to cling to something, but everything around shakes a little, and in the next moment it begins to fall to the ground. Thinking it's over, Dae Sung quickly charges at it, and rushes through them, retaliating against each of the celestial creatures. Then he destroys their cores, grabbing one of those energy spheres with his bare hands, and crushing it like it's nothing. On the terminal, it shows he completed the mission and the necessary conditions, so the implementation of the Prison of Souls is now at 50%. Then it shows that the rewards have been granted to the absolute ruler. He simply watches as the terminal closes. A flame of energy appears before him, then an object appears within it, and on the terminal it says he received the blessing of the worm, which is an armor that makes him immune to death energy and reduces physical damage. Reading it, he says he'll be immune to the energy of death. Then a confirmation appears asking if he wants to wear the blessing, and that if he wants to wear it again later, he'll have to use his willpower. Dae Sung wonders if this is telling him to swim. That river of death remains turbulent, and rising from the depths, our hero emerges from it. Coming out of the river, someone in armor appears, and our hero appears wearing armor that covers his entire body. On the terminal, it says the demon beast admires his swimming skills, and the demons of Pandemonium apologize for not being useful to the ruler. Soaked in that wine-colored water, he tells them to shut up if they know. A strong golden light appears before him, and that light floods the entire place. Sometime later, in the territory of the Ghost King, our hero finds a desolate place. Looking around, he says there's no one there, as the old castle where the Ghost King lived has disappeared. On the terminal, it says the beasts of Pandemonium apologize for the disappearance of the Ghost King's sacred castle, and Dae Sung tells them not to state what he already knows. He says that although the main mission was a side quest, he asks if there's a way to reach the castle through another side mission. Then he continues on this path, alert to everything around him. Suddenly a loud noise and pieces of things flying through the air. Something huge begins to emerge from the ground. It keeps rising from the earth without stopping. Dae Sung watches carefully, focused on that unusual situation, until in front of him amid all the dust, a colossal monument appears. On the terminal, it says it's the celestial obelisk, made by celestial beings with divine stones, serving as a place to capture and imprison wandering ghosts of the 9 heavens. At the top, a celestial glow appears, and a fiery energy shoots out from the gate. Dae Sung asks if going through there will start his next quest. On the terminal, it says it's the second mission, and he must destroy the celestial creatures created by the obelisk to receive 100% of the Prison of Souls, a rune, and contribution points. Suddenly, a bizarre creature appears. The armored enemy stares at our hero, who looks back, wondering if that could be. The creature looks at Dae Sung with an expression of fury, and Dae Sung wonders if that would be the general commander. Since it belongs to the demon category, he doesn't believe they are hostile to him. Meanwhile, a bunch of those creatures charge in his direction. Our hero shouts, telling the bastards to give up, and manifests all this power right there. The demons stop watching him, and the terminal says the demon beasts beg forgiveness for betraying their comrades. The creatures roar, challenging their opponent. Then they continue advancing against the King of Hell. Our hero begins attacking the monsters, landing a direct hit on 2 of them. Dae Sung thinks it seems like they don't have an internal core installed, and wonders if it might be because of the pillar. From the base of the obelisk, that sea of creatures keeps advancing. Then our hero uses the blood naturalization skill while thinking about that pillar. On the terminal, it says that this skill transforms him into half human, half demon. All attributes increase by 30%, but energy is consumed over time. And he decides he's going to overcome this once and for all. Dae Sung confidently charges toward the enemies. Using all this power, he moves from group to group, defeating them in sequence. The creatures are struck and defeated, while our hero doesn't stop his attack. He delivers a powerful blow, hitting several of them at once. On the terminal, it shows 50 out of 10,000. Then it increases to 130 out of 10,000. In the middle of the battlefield, he watches as the creatures appear. He thinks that destroying everything from the inside out seems more effective after all. The creatures come out from within the obelisk, and our hero takes the opportunity to restart his attacks, heading toward the entrance. Finally, he manages to enter that structure. He starts attacking it from the inside out, and continues doing that throughout the entire obelisk, until it starts breaking into several pieces, causing those creatures to begin disintegrating into dust. They vanish, leaving only their armors. Our hero keeps walking over the ashes, and in the end, only Dae Sung remains on the battlefield. On the terminal, it says he has completed and fulfilled the requirements, so the implementation of the Prison of Souls is now at 100%, along with the other rewards. 2 glowing spheres appear in front of him. Dae Sung asks if one is a reward item, and the other would be implementation item, that it's best to check the other items first. Then he gives a command, collect. The spheres seem to respond to this, and one of them goes toward the boy's chest. On the terminal, it shows that the reward is the soul prison artifact, and it transforms the souls of the dead into ghosts. He received a skill to imprison, able to capture the soul of a dead target in the artifact and resurrect, bringing the soul back as a commanded soldier. Lastly, memory sharing, he can view some memories of the designated commander, and it shows he has 0 souls out of a possible 20. Dae Sung says the initial